We have to go political, I'm sorry, because I mean, we're talking change. I just can't stop thinking about the present government, and that was what they rode on to get into power. On a national scale now, how is it possible to apply the outcome model to how a government is run, or how change can be applied in the political system? Well, with Nigeria, for example, now, how we're trying to do things better?
Okay, well, I like to... I'm a member of the Association of Change Management Practitioners, and actually I was having a conversation with one of the change experts in the US. His name is Roland Sullivan. And I was like, wow, that he's helping to change India currently. And, you know, what about
That's
Nigeria?
That's a lot of work. That's over 1 billion people to change.
Yes, exactly. And how about Nigeria? That he's aware we just had a change of government. What can he do? And we got talking. And the interesting thing is, yes, change can actually, when change is applied in a structured manner, then it actually does bring about social change. So say corruption, for instance, or you want to bring about a more ethical culture. So first of all, people need to be aware of the consequences of corruption, you know, and not just in terms of rumors, but they actually have to know the actual devastating effects that corruption brings about in terms of economic and social and political progress. So once that awareness is created, then it also helps to develop like a change brand. So you sell it, make it something punchy. You know, we've had initiatives that such as Operation Feed the Nation, War Against Indiscipline and Corruption, things like that. So once you give the change a brand or a vision, it helps to make it more appealing to people. So yes, we know Buhari wants to change, but what's his agenda? What's the project? What's the program? Have we actually, you know, engaged stakeholders and found out what's going to? So we need to create that awareness. Then desire. So we need to put into place measures where corruption no longer is the way that we do things around here, but even in our institutions, corruption and lack of ethics is seen as something that needs to be actively worked against. So getting people at the top of different industry leaders or giants of industry to inculcate anti-corruption in their agenda. So it's not just something that Buhari is trying to do, but it's something that has ripple effects in banking, and, you know, in oil and gas, and, you know, so it's seen as something that's pervasive, and everyone feels the crunch in their own part of the world. Then, of course, knowledge. So I like what Leap Africa is doing. They recently launched an e-integrity app. So the app is more like, it's a course that is user-friendly and very interesting, that helps young people and even more senior people learn more about what their identify their values, because people usually talk about corruption in a negative sense or ethics in a negative sense, so it's an absence of values. But you know, you have to even begin by saying you even need to know who you are, know what you stand for.
What are those values in the first place?
Yes, what are those values in the first place that corruption tries to erode? So it helps you identify what your values are, and then shows you scenarios. Okay, ethical dilemmas. You know, okay, maybe you're an undergraduate in university and you're trying to make a little extra money, and someone wants you to write an exam on his behalf. So what do you do? That kind of thing. That's actually, as funny, that's really where corruption and unethical behavior begins. Or you're an employee in a company, you're in charge of the procurement of a technology, and one of your friends says, hey, why don't we set up a company that will supply this? And then you will just, you know, since you're in charge of procurement, you can make sure you get the contract, and exactly. So those are actually instances of corruption. So we don't have to. So that kind of education brings it home to the ordinary individual. So through Leap, so like I said, they launched the app recently. So that kind of thing, if it's made available to students in universities as well as maybe new hires in organizations, it could go a very long way in making people see actually what corruption is. Corruption, to many people, things that are seen as part of the culture or just the way we do things around here, it's actually this change is what is the material for the change that we're searching for. So after the knowledge, then there's the ability. Yeah, where ability, I would say there should be measures in place to protect people like whistleblowers, because what we find is that when someone takes a bold step of
they become the victim.
You know, exactly. I mean, even if you read the news, you find where even in our hallowed institutions of higher learning, you know, you see people that are trying to enact change and they end up being hounded by the authorities that are supposed to protect them. Yes, so exactly. So there needs to be a whistleblower protection scheme so that when people try to enact that change, they're enabled. And then reinforcement. So okay, yes. So we need to start changing the way we celebrate our heroes. So instead of just having lists, I'm not against lists for the richest people in Nigeria, and you know, I'm not against that. But in terms of, we can have an index for ethics. So the most ethical companies in Nigeria, the most ethical individuals. I think there's one that's been organized by Ethisphere. So I think, interestingly, I would. The Pope was the second or third most ethical person in the world. I think Warren Buffett was also on that list. Bill Gates was also. These are like very rich men, but they're not just being celebrated because they have money, but because they also have values. They give back to society. Yeah. So those kind of things, when we start celebrating people that give back and people that have high ethical standards, not just the very rich people, yeah. I think that would also help.
So when, still sticking with the politics now, sorry, but when you look at the way government's been run since May 29th, 2015, it's almost a year now, looking at awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforcement, do you see those coming into play? Seeing as they sold the change idea, do you think, based on the outcome model, we are witnessing a change or not?
I would say they made a good stab at it. So the awareness, they tagged their campaign, you know, change, the campaign for change. Yeah. So there was a sense of anticipation. People were actually actively looking forward to change. But I would say it's something that didn't quite trickle down to all aspects of industry. So it was just something that we were expecting Buhari to do, and we didn't take personal ownership of the fact that, okay, Buhari is now in power, fine, we have someone at the top that stands for ethics and needs to improve, but change actually begins from me. So that awareness really, and that desire didn't quite trickle down to individuals. So yeah. I wouldn't place all the blame at the government level, although probably the change could have been managed better, but I would say we need to take individual, okay. You know, we should, the desire for change should have trickled down. It shouldn't be expected to just stay at the federal level, but should trickle down to.
So is that because the awareness wasn't there enough?
No, the awareness was there, but in terms of desire, so.
Okay, desire isn't as strong as the awareness.
Yes, so we just know, you know, at the beginning we knew, okay, fine, we're in a new regime, things have to change. But then why should I change? What will make the policeman at the junction decide, oh, will he all of a sudden wake up and say, okay, Buhari is in power, I'm going to stop taking bribes. So the need to stimulate that desire to change I think that was lacking.
It's still lacking.
Yes, that's what.
Okay,
lacking.
Looking at change generally now, political, social, individual, organizational, it's not a very comfortable thing for a lot of people to just say, okay, I'm going to change.
Absolutely.
Even if it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's not always a very comfortable thing. So how do you enjoy it? Are there steps to take to go through a change process and, even if not enjoy it, be comfortable with it?
I think always keeping your eyes on the big picture is what really helps, because I think it was Rubbin that said, change is messy at the beginning, unpredictable in the middle, but it's gorgeous at the end. So if you can keep your eyes, have a vision of where you're getting to. So when the inevitable bumps come up, you always keep your mind on the big picture. To use the personal change example, say you're trying to lose some pounds, and then people that weight loss advocates advocate that you keep a picture of a slimmer you or a slimmer person on your fridge. So whenever exactly. So when you're tempted to reach for the ice cream,
that is me. That should be me.
Exactly. So okay. that kind of, so always keeping the end in mind. So and then in an organization, you know, if, like one of the government agencies I worked with, they had what they called 7 pillars of change. So HR, finance, everybody was amazing. Even everyone from the lowest level to the highest level knew what the 7 pillars were. So
I think I've been to an office there where you'd see it like pasted everywhere, and it's visual constantly, so you know what you're working.
Exactly. So that really helps. And socially, fine, we want to change, but do we really have a vision of what a transformed Nigeria is like? You know, have we been able to articulate what the end game is and sell it even to the fact that even the orange seller on the street, everybody knows this is collectively what we're working towards, you know. And I'm not saying grand dreams like we're going to be the top
giant of the world.
in 5 years.
Just to cut you there, but I just wanted to ask, you said something about the change agents. Is there a professional body for change agents or something?
Okay, well, currently, for doing social change or...
change managers or something?
Well, yes, there is a Global Association of Change Practitioners, which I belong to.
Okay.
Yes, and
and
currently...
they are in Nigeria?
Yes,
okay.
yes. Currently, we have it's broken down into continents. So I think the headquarters of the Africa chapter is in South Africa. But we do have change managers in Nigeria, and we're trying to start change conversations. I think once we have these monthly...
Is government involved, or can they be? Because I'm sure anybody who's watching, that's the one change they want.
They want social change.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, like I said, I see no reason why the principles of personal and organizational change, which have worked really well with case studies and examples, can't be applied in the social sphere. So definitely, absolutely. I think it's something that can be explored.
Thank you very, very much. It's been very interesting, eye-opening. The ADKAR model, awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforcement. Yeah. So you guys can practice that at home and maybe start with your individual self and then see how you can implement it to your organization and socially. Thanks very much for being here today, Glory.
Thank you very much.
It's been very, very eye-opening, and I've learned quite a bit. Remember, you can follow the conversation on Twitter. YNigerTV is the handle. The hashtag to follow is Rubbin Minds. You can also visit the website, yniger.com. Remember, you've never seen young people talk like this before. I'll see you next week.